It's Starrylock. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a regular, welcome back. This is being broadcast on both Starrylock and Stories Lost and Found. This historic marker, although, this isn't exactly what you think of when you think historic markers are usually something created by the state. Let's see who we have in the house here. We have lock-picking engineer, Dinglehopper, Doctor Who, Donna Reed, straight up metal detecting, and Pocket Watch. So, Legless Lockpicker is here, and Guido's has arrived. We'll be walking down toward where you see those pine trees. That's where the Old Rolfe Cemetery was. And this is where the Old Rolfe, the first courthouse of Pocahontas County. If you don't know who Pocahontas is, she was a real life person, but almost fits more into folklore because of the, various stories that have been elaborately woven around her name. Disney even made a movie. But she is a real life person, and despite all the stories tying her with John Smith, she ends up marrying a man named John Rolfe. And Rolfe is the reason why because it's Pocahontas County, they named the first county seat Rolfe after John Rolfe. Little convoluted, but there's another reference to Pocahontas Doctor Who. Orlando with 717 Detector is here. And Rocky Mountain Prospecting, James Randolph. If you're not seeing the people I'm talking about, then it's probably because they're over on the other channel. Chris Capoon has joined us. So, if you remember a couple weeks back when I visited the grotto, which is a bit to the north and east of here in West Bend, I talked about Father Dauberson, who is the person who put all his effort into building the grotto while he came down here. And if the style of using inlaid rocks looks familiar, it's because he did this monument as well. Wayside Wade, Abandoned and Forgotten Whales. We're just hopping with visitors. 18 between the two channels. So, there's a couple links in the description which will point you to his places that lists the history. One of them suggests that the reason the county seat moved, or Ralph moved, was because they changed the name so much. Rolfe was I think the fourth or fifth name change. But what ended up happening was that the railroad ran through about 3.5 miles to the south. And over in that direction, there is a grain elevator, and that is current day Rolfe. Thank you, Orlando, for asking people to smash that like button. And Pocket Woman is here. So, on the other side of this monument, in addition to this side marking the courthouse site in 1860, we have inlaid on this side, it says Malice to None. On this side, we have an American flag and For God and Country. And then charity tomb. This location, as you could probably tell from the machine sheds and grain storage, is, I think this little segment is actually on private property, but the owner has chosen to allow access to the monument. So we should be thankful to him. There's no lock here. There's just a little latch. And let's see if I can get this undone one-handed. There we go. We can get out. 507 Magnets is here. And is polite. You relock up any gate that you open. I am sorry for the odd angle. Reattaching this one-handed is a bit difficult, so I'm using two. There we go. And Arsha Convaj is here. And apparently Lockkraken is here as Chris is greeting him. So that is the monument designed and built by Father Dobson, marking where Pocahontas started out. It's first county courthouse, nothing left of it, of course. Over there is where present day Rolfe is. There were businesses here at one point. If you were here in the 1860s, you would have found an ice house and a blacksmith and a post office, all of which are now cornfields and grain storage. Rolfe did not retain being the county seat. That ended up moving to a more centralized location, and in one of the few exceptions of a town and the county sharing a name, their county seat right now is Pocahontas. And they have a big, goofy looking statue proclaiming it the Princess City. We're getting closer. Those pine trees are around the outside edge of the cemetery. So that is all we find left of Old Rolfe, is that marker and this cemetery. Well, the marker is located on private property, and access is graced to us through that property owner. This property is owned by the Old Rolfe Cemetery Association, which still makes it private property, but private property to help preserve this cemetery. These are graves of people that settled here in the 1850s and 60s, all the way up to the 1940s. That gate's a little easier to open one-handed. And we have a kind of a lime green master combination lock locking up this sign. This is a much newer marker. There was a country church here at some point that was Ralph, Iowa Shared Ministry, and they put up this sign that reads Old Rolfe Cemetery, established 1858. So as you can tell, the Pocahontas is settled, 8 to 10 years later than Palo Alto County. So yeah, I'm sure that padlock is very shimmable, but there is no call to be breaking into somebody else's lock. And Chris guesses the combination is 23, 18, 12. Might be right. As you can tell, it's a fairly small but very spaced out cemetery. There are newer markers to the side of this monument. W.P. Price, 1882. But I can't make out the date of death. There has been some grave damage at some point. That one's broken off. There's an engraving of hands shaking right about there. But I can't read any of it's on there. And I think the sunlight's probably casting enough of a shadow you couldn't either. But that was a newer one. Find a Grave said that this hadn't been used since 1940s, but there are a few newer graves, which we'll still steer clear of. Here it says father, and it looks like there's been more than one bird who's decided to relieve themselves there. And then the rest of the marble is faded enough that I couldn't tell you what it said. Wonder how well titanium holds up to time and weather. Don't have an answer for you on that one. There's another time-worn. Not sure what the material on this is. If it wasn't in shadow and the sun was in the west, I could read it, but and there is a small grave. And Joe from Michigan Gems has joined us on the other side of the boat. Thank you for showing up. spending some of your Sunday with me. And Neo Adventures, I don't think I know that name. It'll be about 2 days before the comments reappear with the video for YouTube to process it. And when it does so, I will go in there and give you moderatorship. In the meantime, welcome, Neo Adventures. Well, this explains why this one was braced on the back. It's been broken at one point and cemented back together. But as with several of these others, I can't read. E.W. Percy, I believe. August of 1871. And then the death date is faded. And there's a sign of a hand with the index finger extended skyward. I cannot read any of that other than, looks like healed, H-E-A-L-D, and it says died, and then the stone's has all the whitewash removed, but has green from them cutting the grass and splattering it, so there's a smaller marker there. Not much left of the old town of Rolfe. The current town of Rolfe has a few hundred people to it. And I might visit the current Rolfe as it has a converted, it took a line of railroad and then the county kept the property rights that the railroad had rather than transferring back to the landowners, and used it to build a bike and hiking trail. And it has several old railroad bridges on it, so that will probably be worth a visit. This one is definitely, it is not design, that is poor weathering and damage to the stone. And that one says Mary on it, but it looks like it has sunk into the ground at some point. Pocket woman, it's always been that way. Here in the US, hard to find. Looks like I'll have to go back and try to... Ooh, Hiking Hermit has joined us. Sorry, I missed you when you came in. And I don't know what Pocket Woman's comment was. Michigan Gem is greeting people. In Australia, up until the 1970s, they used to burn the grass instead of cutting it. there's another stone that has been cemented back together. And a tiny little stone all by itself here. This finishes this row. And this side. And time has done its number here. There's a lot of areas where the ground has sunken in. We're well away from any marked graves, so I don't know. I think that bird was a plover, which a nearby town is named after, probably because of the railroad manager, as we found out in Curlew and Mallard. And we have two stones down here by themselves, along with a bush that looks like it flowers earlier in the year, or maybe those are the remains. You know, it's probably the remains of last year's because there's buds coming up. And Barry Little is here, hoping I'm well. Indeed I am. This looks like a setup with a family marker in the middle and then the individual family members to the sides. But their chosen material of monument has not aged well. And I do not know if this is a grave marker or just a rock laying here. Doesn't say anything anymore. Evil Arch Conservative and Polar Bear have arrived. And as Joe is greeting Creek, I assume it's headed to the creek. I'm just going to shut up unless I can read something, because most of these I can't, and give you a look at the gravestones. I'm going to announce a giveaway at the end, so if you are here and have the time, stick around for that. It's interesting to see the grave symbolisms with doves and hands. Wife of Peter Williams, born 1876. And then the smaller grave has a dove on it. She has a cross, and he has shaking hands. Because this is Peter Williams. That is his wife, although I don't see a name for her. That one monument has lost the top of it. And Marlin is here. You can make out the word Freeman on the bottom, or at least I can here. (1886), age 34 years and 20 days. And then Mary Freeman died 1886 at 28 years and 18 days. That's pretty young for both of them. We have Amelia D. Roy from 1856 to 1933, and Rob Roy from 1854 to 1942. And there's another grave marker for the Roy family. And we have more graves with the dove marker on it. The iconology, the symbology used in gravestones. There's people who actually get PhDs in that. I'm sure there's an actual field that it ties to, but I have a couple books on symbols, some of which are tied to just cemetery symbols. So, Fanny N. Martin, 1816 to 1904. I don't know, is it? It took time doing all those marks around the edges, but the lichen in time has worn out the names. We're almost done here. There's I think Rachel was the family, the surname, because you have David Salzman underneath, or maybe it's Rachel and David, but it only has one set of born and died, so I don't know. And that's 1810 to 1875. Then we have one. This could be all by itself because they were buried all by themselves, or could be that there's unmarked graves in here. I don't know. James E. When you get back home, you can catch up on my videos. Yeah, I got a lot of videos to catch up on. It's been this long weekend has been the first real break I've had from work in a while. So that one has carved in kind of a clamshell effect with a lamb symbol in there. There's a newer grave, which we won't bother. I don't think I'm going to fill the full hour here, but I got a half-hour drive home, so. Not sure if there used to be livestock in the area or why they have barbed wire on top of the fence. There is the Old Rolfe Cemetery. I'm going to quickly cover a giveaway here. I hope it's not too crass to announce a giveaway after visiting a cemetery. We have in here that I won from Magnetic Squatch, a 4,000-pound double-sided Kratos magnet. And I have a new poker chip in addition to my older one, which had Starrylock on it. This one says Starry's Lost and Found actually on it, and then has the QR code. So this magnet, those two poker chips, and some stickers from my own channel and from some other Treasure Fam community channels. If when this video is over, you go back into the video and you leave a comment, put the word Kratos somewhere in your comment, and I'll figure out, and that'll only be on the Starry's Lost and Found channel. If you're currently on Starrylock, you'll need to go over there if you want to win this magnet. So that is all I have for today. Here on the 3rd of July, halfway between Canada Day and U.S. Independence Day. I'll check the comments next Sunday. If I do it in-house, which I don't plan on, I will do a live during the giveaway, during the broadcast. Otherwise, I will film it and show it later. But will I ship overseas? I certainly will try, money permitting. Although the last I checked, the post office won't allow me to ship to Australia, so. So leave a comment down below what you can't do until this video ends. And you can and Joe's busy calling me a doll for doing it. Wonder if the barbed wire to keep cattle out. Yeah, I was wondering if it was livestock too. I don't know. Obviously not currently, as it's cornfields around here. Well, I left the car door open, and the gnats and flies are heavy around here, so I am going to bring this to an end, which will permit you to make a comment. Once the video is closed and you reload the video, you can make a comment down below and make sure you include the word Kratos, and that is only on the Starry's Lost and Found channel. Next Sunday, I will check and we will figure out some way to do a giveaway, and I will ship out that magnet and some swag as well. And take care, everyone, and we will see you soon.